Good day. This is Brother Medina for Tuesday, Seventh-day Adventist. And please let us start with a word of prayer. Gracious, loving Father, be with us as we enter into this presentation. Bless everyone that pay attention to the details being said and help them to be successful in their decisions. In Jesus' holy name we pray, with thanksgiving unto thee. Amen. Well, this is our seventh and final tranche dealing with vaccinations. Yes, my dear people. We want to round off the presentations we have been having by giving you an account of what's in the vaccines that you take and how they affect your body. We have been talking about health reform. We have been dealing with God wanting us to prosper and be in good health, even as we prosper in our spiritual development. Remember, your body was purchased by the gift of the life of Christ, and that your body belongs to God as the temple in which God should dwell. Therefore, you're supposed to glorify God in your body and in your experience, which belongs to Him. And you have to give an account in the day of judgment for the things done in the body according to the Bible. And things done in the body also refers to what is put via injections directly into your bloodstream. You ought to know. It is your right to know what you are putting in your bloodstream. Yes, my dear people, you ought to know what is going into the bodies of your children, of your babies. Yes, my dear people. And you should question why in many countries this is being forced upon people. So we want to deal with some of the things that are being put in the body so that you will be able to judge much better and know where you stand. Yes, my dear people. In the book Vaccine Primer and Inoculation by Elliot Fried, we have been quoting some statements and explaining them to you. For instance, monkey kidneys and similar types of flesh such as dog, bird, and insect parts and others remain common in vaccine production. Yes, my dear people. And some of the cells or molecules from these dogs, birds, monkey kidney cells, and insect parts are in the vaccines. Yes, my dear people. Other proteins used in vaccine manufacture that are then injected in their undigested form into infants are eggs, peanuts, and beef, to name a few. Do you wonder why now that there are so many people that have allergies to peanuts? Because if you take raw peanuts and you put it directly into the bloodstream, your body will develop an allergy for peanuts. And all this comes into your body via vaccine. That's why so many children have allergies to peanuts. Yes, my dear people. Something that did not used to exist before. Those of you who remember when you were young, in the 60s and the 70s, people didn't have allergy for peanuts. That was rare. Now we are having it as a general problem all over the world. It is because of vaccination in which molecules of peanuts go directly into the bloodstream. Yes, my dear people. And you must remember that there is growing evidence that the autoimmune components of diabetes, autism, lupus, multiple sclerosis, and similar ailments is at least in part a result of the injection of undigested human flesh into infants. Yes, my dear people, autoimmune diseases are created by vaccination. But they won't tell you that. There are so many pages of studies that have shown that, but they will not tell you that in the mainstream media. And they want to force vaccination upon children and cause them to lose education if they refuse, if the parents refuse to do that to their children. All this is so very wrong. Yes, my dear people. Now, we can turn our attention to the metals used in vaccines and subsequently injected into our children. These metals are mercury and aluminum. Yes, my dear people, this is a known fact. Mercury and aluminum are in vaccines. Both of these metals are recognized as toxic to all forms of life, on all levels, even at nanogram doses, far below the amount found in vaccines. In other words, they may come and tell you, oh, the doses are too little bit to interfere with you. That is not true. Studies have shown that even in nanogram doses, small doses, much lower than what are in vaccines, all of those things are extremely harmful to the human body. This have been found out. But do you want to put these vaccines with this in your children? You see, researchers have identified over 200 ways in which aluminum destroys biological processes. Yes, my dear people. Now, if the aluminum is ingested in your mouth via food cooked in aluminum utensils, your liver has a way of disposing of it. Your body has a way of disposing of it as much as it can through urinating it out. But you must remember, this aluminum in vaccination is placed directly into your bloodstream, bypassing these filtration processes of your body. Let me continue to read this. Listen to this. In particular, aluminum is known to damage signaling processes such as nerve transmission, cytokine balance, and DNA transcription, all hallmarks of vaccine injury. So these are things that happen to people as vaccine injuries. And aluminum is known to do those things. Nearly all governments, my dear people, on the planet recognize the damage done by mercury, and many actively sponsor attempts to reduce or eliminate exposure to it in all forms. Yes, my dear people. So even mercury is so dangerous that governments have been seeking to get rid of it in all forms from going into people's bodies. Yes, my dear people. Many even go so far as to limit the amount that can be given in vaccines and to whom. Yet it remains in many vaccines in at least trace amounts sufficient to cause damage. And you must remember that even trace amounts of mercury have been found to cause terrible damage. No minuscule amount is safe for the body. This is a known scientific fact. Yet, mercury level in vaccines way past the safety level, despite what they tell you. Do you want to take that chance for yourself and for your children to put that into your bodies? You see, many people try to argue that the amounts in vaccines are too small to be toxic. But this is an irrelevant argument. The amount present does damage to your body. It does damage to your whole human organism. And this is a known fact, even in nano traces. Yes, my dear people. You see, both these metals, the mercury and the aluminum, are commonly found in the brains and other tissues of vaccine recipients, and the damage they do, even in tiny doses, is well established in scientific literature. So you can find these facts in scientific literature, and all these things are in vaccines. You see, the synergistic effects of mercury and aluminum together are far worse than either independently. So if you get mercury by itself, it's very dangerous. Aluminum by itself is very dangerous. But when the two are combined together in your body, it is even worse. It is even more terrible. And these are things that are known. When mercury comes into contact with aluminum at room temperature, it causes it to boil. Yes, my dear people. So mercury comes in contact with aluminum. It causes the aluminum to boil. In animal experiments, doses that were far below the lethal level, notice this, far below the lethal level of each, were combined and given to rats. All the animals in the experiment died, demonstrating that together, mercury and aluminum are far worse than when used individually. Yes, my dear people. So sometimes a person gets the vaccination and they feel terrible burning and pain all over their bodies. Sometimes terrible burning in their spines, and sometimes they begin to get crippled. It is because of the combination of the mercury and the aluminum boiling in the body, destroying the nerves of the body. Yes, my dear people. And then people get multiple sclerosis, and then they get crippled. All this are proven facts already. Why do you want to take a chance putting that in your children's body? The risks are too great. You may say, well, it will never happen to me. Perhaps, but then it could happen. You don't know, but these are not risks that you should take, because the damage remains with you and your family forever, until death. And this is the reason why you have to be careful. We are saying this because we care for you, and we want you to be saved from all these unnecessary troubles. Yes, my dear people. Listen to this. Many people don't understand what we are talking about here, and they need to understand this. Listen to this. The mercury is added to the vaccines as part of the preservative thimerosal of something. This thimerosal is something created by George W. Bush great-grandfather in a laboratory. It is used throughout the manufacturing process in many vaccines to kill any unwanted pathogen and to keep the process sterile. That is, it kills all life and is used specifically for that purpose in the vaccines. So if there are other viruses from the monkey kidney cells or the dog or the pig or whatever they use, or the insects, to kill those other viruses, they have the mercury put in the vaccine solution. Yes, my dear people. So the mercury itself is really to kill those things in the vaccines. In many vaccines, it is then removed, quote and unquote. But by then, much of it has adhered to other components of the vaccine, including the pathogens, which is the viruses that are given to you, the attenuated viruses they are given to you themselves. So only about 9/10 of it can be removed. This can easily leave a couple micrograms per dose in the final product, and it has already been demonstrated that a few thousandths of a microgram, look at how small, a few thousandths of a microgram, nanograms, can be sufficient to cause brain damage and other toxic results. Yes, my dear people. In some vaccines, it is still used in larger doses as a preservative. Yes, my dear people. And these are facts. These are known in so many scientific papers, which would be too boring to read with all those scientific terms. The average person don't do those things. The average doctor don't do those things. So they don't know. But in-depth research, time to go through much of these documents shows us these facts. Yes, my dear people. You see, aluminum have been also added to vaccines for many decades. Injecting vaccine pathogens into the muscles rarely induces such antibody response, so vaccine developers needed a way to irritate the body and increase the antibody response. Adding aluminum helps to irritate the immune system and cause a stronger reaction. Did you see that? So that's why they put aluminum and have aluminum in the vaccines. They want to irritate your immune system. What does that mean? When the aluminum comes into your body, your immune system gets irritated. It identifies this as an invasion in your bloodstream, not through the filtration process of your body, but going directly into your bloodstream as an invasion. And it quickly acts to deal with it. So the very fact that the aluminum is placed there, it is meant to irritate the immune system, and it is part of how the vaccine works. Yet the aluminum itself is dangerous to your body in the smallest amounts. Yes, my dear people, you need to understand this. You see, the aluminum binds also to the pathogen, that is the little viruses that they are putting into your bodies in its attenuated form. The aluminum binds to the pathogen, and when injected can stay in the body for many years. So it is useful for maintaining high levels of antibody presence for a long time. So when they tell you, well, your body will produce antibodies to deal with this vaccine or to deal with this virus that we put into your body in the vaccine, and these antibodies will be flowing in your bloodstream for a long period of time, it is because the aluminum will be there for a long period of time, irritating your immune system. That's how the vaccine works. But you see, it is not always a good plan. The aluminum combines sometimes with the effect of the Th2 shift and helps to create a chronic subacute infection. Despite the fact that we know antibody response does not confer immunity and may actually be a sign of ongoing infection, vaccine developers still consider this sufficient proof that their product works no matter how ill people actually get. When you hear that a vaccine is such and such effective, this is what is being referred to. It does not mean that many cases of disease were prevented. So when they tell you the vaccine is effective, it works, what they actually mean is that the aluminum remains in your bloodstream, continually irritates the immune system, and also combined with the effects of the Th2 shift, helps to create a subacute infection, and this infection remains in your body so that the antibodies that the immune system produces can be attacking the infection. So it comes like if they're making you continually sick to continually prepare you for when the real virus comes for your body to deal with it. But that whole thing is ridiculous. That whole thing is outrageous. But this is what they're doing. And you know, doctors don't even study these facts about vaccines in their doctoral courses that they take, in their medical courses that they take to become doctors, so that they can show you that. This is a specialized study that you have to embark upon if you want to know. But doctors don't do this. They just give you the line of the vaccine manufacturers. Oh, it is safe, it is okay, it is effective. That's what they tell you. But these things are the real facts about it. Yes, my dear people, listen to me. You have to understand that another important thing about it is that the amount of aluminum in vaccines is not too small to have a negative impact upon your body. You see, you need to understand that attached to the vaccine pathogens itself, which is the viruses in the vaccine that are attenuated, is the aluminum, and it is found in brain tissue and other tissues, and its negative effects on those tissues and on clinical outcomes can be observed. Yes, my dear people. So not to say they never found it there, they found it in the brain and other tissues. And it has a negative impact upon those tissues. Yes, my dear people. You see, when we inject things, they bypass the filtration and detoxification processes of the natural digestive system of the body. They then travel through the body in untracked ways in the bloodstream. When aluminum is injected, as much as 75% may remain in the body for many years, possibly even indefinitely. It is for this reason that it is used in the vaccines to, as they say, irritate your immune system to produce antibodies. The role of aluminum in brain damage and autoimmune diseases is well established. Even a specific disease recognized as autoimmune caused by aluminum. Then why are you putting that in your children? You see, another vaccine ingredient we must consider is the detergents. Yes, my dear people. The most common of these is polysorbate 80, sometimes called by its brand name Tween 80 or T80 for short. There are a number of other polysorbates also used and a few other detergents in vaccines. You see, my dear people, detergents work by separating fat molecules from each other. And, you know, this you can see when you put detergents on your dishes to remove the oil and so on. You see, this polysorbate or detergent damages the body in countless ways by destroying cell membranes, because every single cell membrane in our bodies is held together by bonds between fat molecules. So detergents break the bonds between the fat molecules, causing cell membranes to disintegrate. This is what detergents do to the cells in the body. The polysorbates do this particularly well for the cells that protect the brain. Polysorbate 80 is used in pharmaceutical drugs specifically for this purpose, to break down the fat cells that protect the brain, that the drugs can get into the brain, especially for psychotic drugs. Yes, my dear people, the aim of those kind of drugs with the polysorbates in them is to crash through, break through something called the blood-brain barrier, which is made up of a lot of fatty substance. So the polysorbate breaks it down, and this is how aluminum, mercury, and other properties and pathogens in the vaccines are found in the brain itself. Because you see, when used in vaccines, polysorbate 80 binds to the pathogens, the flesh and the metals, and guides them across the blood-brain barrier into the brain. And this helps us to explain why these things are found in the brains of vaccine-injured persons and in corpses. Yes, my dear people, this is the reason why this happens. And this is the reason why you need to understand that vaccines are composed of a host of known neurotoxins, including the pathogens themselves and the metals mercury and aluminum. They are then mixed with chemicals that specifically assist these neurotoxins to enter the brain. They are then injected into the muscles. The injection itself can break the covering of the nerve fibers in the limbs where the vaccines are injected, and the neurotoxins can bypass all the extra hard work and go straight into the nervous systems. These things cause paralysis, multiple sclerosis, and other stuff. It is no wonder that as vaccination increases, the worldwide pandemic of brain damage is increasing along with it. Yes, my dear people, it is no wonder that countless parents have watched their child's head swell up as they develop high fevers, ear-piercing screeches, and brain damage after receiving vaccines. All this has been seen. It is no wonder that vaccines are recognized as agents for brain damage by the manufacturers themselves, by government agencies, in medical textbooks, and in 200 years of clinical laboratory sciences. What is shocking is that so few people are willing to acknowledge the obvious role of injecting neurotoxins mixed with detergents that target the protective layer of the brain in the process. Yes, my dear people. And so, what do we say to you? Protect your family. Protect your children. These are the things that are getting into your body. And you need to have vaccine choice, which is religious liberty, which is freedom of choice, which is liberty of conscience. And that's why no government should force vaccination upon children, denying them education if they don't take it. So you need to get a lawyer letter. You need to get a letter and send it to the Ministry of Health. Send it to the principal of the school and fight for your child entering into the school without putting these horrible destructions in their bodies. You don't want to destroy your family, and you have to give God an account of how you take care of yourself and your children. This is about your religious faith. And this is why we ask of you to make the right decisions in these things before it is too late. So, my dear people, if any one of you wants this program, call us at 625-0446. 625-0446 will give you this program plus others that went before. And may God bless you as you make the right decisions, as you protect yourself from these distractions. In Jesus' holy name, amen.